your appreciation. And the first is a gift from Annie Glass, handmade blown glass in Watsonville, California. Yes. Can you help me open it? It's a special gift, and it's engraved with your name. And it says,
Good Lord, amen.
it's real gold, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Can you show it to everyone?
Good Lord, hey, you have to, you want to hurt it.
Especially made for
Oh,
you.
that's perfect. That's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And this is on behalf of the Watsonville Film Festival board and team, a Lifetime Achievement Award to Maestro Luis Valdez for telling our stories, for celebrating our humanity, for inspiring generations, and to continue legacy of amazing work that make us all feel connected and human again. Thank you so much for it.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much to the Watsonville Film Festival and Consuelo and everybody that's worked on this festival. It's amazing. You know, when put together Teatro Campesino, it seemed to me it was a contradiction in terms, you know. Farm workers theater, farm workers and theater, you know. Watsonville Film Festival, same thing, you know. You have achieved transcendence, you know, here in Watsonville.
Thank you so much. I just want to mention just something really quick, but that is so true. When we started talking about the Watsonville Film Festival, people couldn't put the words together. We always said, Watsonville what?
Yeah.
Watsonville what? Watsonville Film Festival. Oh, so it's like these places are for us. We do theater, we tell stories, we make films, and congratulations on this amazing film.
And one of the most beautiful spots on earth, too. Watsonville Valley, you know, it's incredible.
We are so delighted to have you here, and as you know, this film has been traveling. It's all over the US, it's in Mexico, and it's celebrating your enduring legacy, and it's during these really intense times that we are going through. So how do you feel about this film and sharing it with the world, your story, your trajectory, and where we are today?
Well, I have to give some kudos to the director, David Alvarado, who has done a tremendous job. And also the crew that's worked with him, they're going to do the panel after the second screening.
Yes.
Really Everett, and who's Filipino, también, Filipino brother. Daniel, you know, Ontiveros or something, the editor. We're talking about local guys, you know, that have been working in the film business from this area. And so David Alvarado, I met in Texas, in North Texas, in Denton, Texas, way up above Dallas. And he was a 21-year-old college student who came up to me, like so many students I've met over the years, and wanted to know what he could do, how could he could have a career. And I said, believe in yourself, brother. That's it. You know, we need your voice. And I had no idea at the time that he would come back 3 years later, 3 years ago. And that was 20 years ago. 3 years ago, he came back to me and asked if anybody had done my story, you know, with the teatro. And I said, no, you know, I've been waiting for someone. And it turns out he was the guy, you know. And we're fortunate because of the teatro as an organization. And we've been around for 60 years now, okay? We're celebrating our 60th anniversary. We have a wonderful archive, you know, it's in an old packing shed, but it's a treasure house of images and photographs and video, and going all the way back to 1965 when we started. And so that was a treasure house waiting for a filmmaker like David Alvarado to come along and tap into it. In addition to that, he also went to our archives at the University of Santa Barbara, of California, Santa Barbara, and he digitized 80,000 feet of film that had never been preserved and digitized. That film is now available to other scholars. You know, he used some of it, but not all of it. But through the resources of this production, he was able to rescue another part of our history. It's so important that we record our history and then present it, because there is a movement abroad here in the world at large to erase our history. And I don't know about you, but I, for one, will never allow anybody to erase Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta from our history. And the Teatro Campesino was born on the picket lines of the Delano Great Strike, but it was a movement of our people, a movement that's been around for quite a while. And you can see in some of the shots that David used that we have a whole story to tell. It's the story of America. You know, we go back with the oldest civilizations, you know, in this part of the world are our ancestors. And so that's been wiped out. They don't teach that in schools. Not until Chicano studies came along. And so we need that, you know. And I love telling the story of Pachucos, and I love telling the story of Richie Valens, because this is modern history. We live with it. But we go way back, man. We go way back. And it's complex. It's just as deep as all of humanity. I'm not saying that our raza is any better or any worse than anybody else, you know. We're all touched by the Creator. We're all touched by the Spirit. And so I'm very proud of the work that David Alvarado and his team have done, working with PBS and American Masters, and to get this hopefully on the air in the fall for American Masters. But after that, you know, people will see it for generations to come. That's the nature of film. And hopefully it will educate kids that are just being born now, you know, to know who they are and where they came from.
Yes.
Alba.
There is this theme that we want to discuss, which is this reckoning with the legacy of Cesar Chavez. So you work directly with him, you have this collaboration, and then there is this new development. How do we are acknowledging these hard truths and how we move forward?
Well, we move forward with a big, broad understanding of who we are and where we're going. Let's say, I mean, not serious, let's say we are America. You know, the American dream is continental. It's not just the United States. As a matter of fact, the United States needs Latin America. We're in a symbiotic relationship, and people in Watsonville and in our whole area here know this better than anybody, because we feed the world. You know, farm workers feed the world, literally. In this time of drought, in this time of climate change, just the process of getting enough food into people is going to be a survival concern for all of humanity, you know. And Chicanos and Mexicanos are the ones that are out there in the field, you know. And when someone else can step into our shoes and get out into the fields for 10, 12 hours a day and harvest the crops that we harvest, then they can talk about, you know, their equality, you know, in the sense we're all equal before God. We're all touched, you know, by the Creator, and our consciousness has to extend to all peoples. We're Americans, you know. I'm a brown Anglo, actually. I don't mind. I learned English. You know, I was an English major. It's touched on the film because I wanted to speak English, you know. And not that I didn't. I spoke English from the moment I was born. My parents were bilingual. They were from Arizona. But people always came up to me at times and said, you speak English. I have even been asked when people say, can you read? You know, because this is supposed to represent ignorance. This is supposed to represent, you know, illiteracy. And it's been part of my cause here, you know, as an individual and as part of the Chicano movement, to dispel that notion that, no, we're bilingual, man. We're multilingual. You know, we can go and we can be just as American as anybody else, you know. I think we live in a lovely part of the world here, you know. I love California because it's on the West Coast, and we receive all of the peoples of the world here. And in my lifetime, I've had the privilege of seeing California change radically. And I realized that there were no voices speaking for the Chicano way back, you know, when I got to college. There wasn't the literature, there wasn't anything. You know, there weren't books being published. There were no poetry, there was nothing. You know, people thought we were just Mexicans from the other side of the border, you know, but the fact is that we've always been part of the American process. And humanity has been meeting itself over the centuries by immigration, by circling the globe and coming. But our people were here first, you know. We were here 30,000 years ago. And we're just discovering how deep that goes. But we're also a mezcla, you know. We're also a fusion of other peoples from all over the world. I had my DNA checked a few years ago, and I found out I'm from all over the world, man. Half of me is indigenous, no question. But the fact is that it's not just North American and South American Indios that I'm part of. I'm also Asian. I'm also African. I'm also European. I'm the whole fucking human race, you know what I'm saying? And so I embrace everybody, okay? I think we're all equally touched by the Creator to be able to create our world. But you have to believe in yourself. There's no Mayan saying, creer es crear. To believe is to create. So you have to believe in yourself. Believe in your own human worth. Begin with that. And explore your origins. You know, there's some interesting stuff there. But also reach out and touch the rest of the world. It's possible to become anything. Become an engineer, I don't hold any grudges against my brother because he became an engineer. He was brilliant, you know, that was wonderful. I feel bad that he encountered the racism that he encountered. And that he bought the American dream to the extent that he always wanted to be a billionaire, you know. So many people are infected with that sickness in our world and in our time right now. That you have to have 40 billion, 50 billion to be worthy. That's bullshit, you know? If you don't have a cent, you're still touched by the glory and the genius of the Creator that lives in all of us. We all have the power to create. Art is not a product. Art is a process. And that process is the person of human.
Thank you for that. That's beautiful. And it's connected to this theme of our festival this year, which is everything you do, which is art as resistance. So in these political times and with so many young people in the audience, what do you tell to them in terms of like using their art, their dance, their theater to keep moving forward?
Resist by creating, you know. Again, the art is not a product, it's a way of life. Okay, you're all artists. You know, again, we do a lot of religious stuff, but the fact is that if the Creator is the Creator, then creativity is the essence of the Creator. It's the essence of religion, it's the essence of democracy. And there's creativity in your life. It doesn't mean you have to go to the art galleries. It means that you have creative impulses that affect your personal life. And then out of that comes the sense of family, the sense of belonging to your community, you know. I couldn't do my art without my community, and my community is everybody, quite frankly, you know. I focus on the Chicanos because there's great need there. There's too much invisibility. We get wiped out. Our history has not been taught in American schools. It was not taught until Chicanos came along and tried to launch it. I helped to launch the Chicano Studies Department of Fresno State, and I was fired within 2 years, you know, because I said we were reinventing history, we were lying, you know. Actually, we're just trying to reaffirm our own history. So we do it through the arts, we do it through paintings, we do it through poetry, we do it through novels, we do it through films. I encourage all of music, you know. I encourage all of you to explore your creative abilities. If we all got together just to make music once in a while, the world would be a much better place, you know, because it takes love to make art. Hate can inspire you, but hate doesn't go far in the arts. It doesn't take you far enough. There's not enough gas. Love does it, you know. And so I'm proud. Yes, go ahead. I just want to say that the Teatro Campesino is a family of families. We've been in San Juan Bautista since 1971. We started in Delano, of course, in '65. But we chose it as our way of life, you know. And Teatro Campesino is composed of beautiful human beings that have been with us for half a century already. There's a loyalty there that I love and that speaks to the beauty of this way of life. And starting with my compañera and wife of 57 years, Lupe Trujillo Valdez. Lupe, take us out. There she is. It's always dangerous to start pointing out people, but I have other people. My producer for more than 50 years, Phil Esparza. Where are you, Phil? Yeah, somewhere along the line. One of our business managers and my personal assistant, again, for more than 40 years, Licha Munoz. Licha, think about please. When people call the Teatro Campesino, it's her voice that answers. And she's been with us since 1978 in the company, part of the family. That is a good sign that maybe what you're doing is right. When people come together and they connect. And Cesar and Kathy Flores, who got married way back in 1974, were Lupe and our padrinos. Cesar Flores and where are you? Yes. And then, a very special coincidence, we also have, I'm not leaving anybody, I don't want to leave anybody out. Janet Johns, you know. The young cast members here of Zoot Suit, which they are. You guys are phenomenal. You know, you created a theater at Pajaro Valley High School. I saw it. You converted 3 classrooms into a theater. That is rascuachismo at its best. I love that. It's like the impulse of what you did. You transformed your high school, and then you got into costume and did this wonderful production of Zoot Suit. It fills my heart to know that your generation has picked up the story, that your generation is now repeating it for other generations. Maybe some of your children will be in Zoot Suit in the future, you know? Because that's one of the things that we carry from generation to, it's our culture, man. It's our art. That's what we give to people, you know? And that's what we also received from past generations, from thousands of years ago. It's important to know that, you know? Art sticks around, you know? But it's really important, while we're still alive, that we reinforce the longevity of our communities, that we help each other. And one of the ways to do that is to celebrate by having theater and music and concerts and poetry and art galleries. It's our way to get together. I also love festivals that bring audiences back into the theater. How often do you see a full house like this in any of our movies now? So the big service that you're doing, Consuelo, and the Watsonville Film Festival is doing, is bringing the movies back to life, you know, by putting festivals on. Lupe and I have been privileged to have gone all over the country with this project and other projects, but we were just in McAllen, Texas. I don't know if you know McAllen, you know. But it's again, a lot of people who come to Califa as migrant farm workers from Texas. And the patois of the Pachuco came from El Paso, so, you know, it makes sense. But the thing is that there's life there that's breathing, and it's a story that's not being told. I'm very optimistic about the future, as dark as things seem to be, and that we have a fool in the White House, you know? We have an idiot in the White House, I'm sorry, you know? I'm amazed that we've allowed things to get this bad. When he came down the golden escalator, you know, in his tower, and he said that Mexicans were rapists, he attacked my people, you know? But I wasn't going to react with hatred. I was thinking, what can we do to get this guy out of power? But I realized that he's not just alone. He's backed up by a lot of people that believe that if they can concentrate all the wealth, they can control the rest of us. But I'm telling you, our liberation begins in the heart. Our liberation begins at home. Use what you have and make riches. You know, when I was a kid, there was nothing, I encountered just a lot of discrimination against Mexicans, you know, particularly Pachucos. You know, they were the dogs, you know, down at the totem pole. Even within the Chicano community, they didn't think very highly of Pachucos and Pachucas. They were criminal. But I saw them as a little kid, you know, and it amazed me because they were magical beings. And so it was inevitable that one day I would pick up that subject and turn it into a play that turned out to be the highest grossing play that's ever been produced in Los Angeles for people that care about money, you know? But the fact is that it transformed my community in LA, and then as obviously now all across the whole country that relates to the play. A work of art can do that, and I take great courage from that and great hope from that. But it's not just Chicanos. I started in the San Francisco Mime Troupe, like it says. We have members of the Mime Troupe here tonight. Where are you, Ann? Good friends. And so we live in a great area because there's so much that needs to be revealed to the rest of the world. Our culture is a treasure house. There's no need for us to be poor. We can make money, we can make fame, we can make anything out of our culture. That's why, that's the message. It's there in your heart, it's there in your mind, it's there in your family. Look for the richness, the human richness, convert it into art, because art is the real gold. Art is the real treasure that humanity has to share with each other. And so I'm so proud that that flame has been lit in Watsonville. Gabe Robledo, you know, the director, has worked in the Teatro Campesino since he was a child. You know, he came with Esperanza del Valle. And it's an amazing thing to me to see that he became a high school teacher who's not directing plays in high school. I mean, I can't think of anything better, you know. And then it's not just the boys, of course, it's the ladies, it's the women, you know. We have some powerful playwrights, some powerful actors. I'm proud of my sister Socorro, you know, when she was in the movie. I'm proud of my designer wife, she's a costume designer. I'm proud of all of the people that have fought for women's rights, for gay rights, for the rights of people, you know, and raise the consciousness of the world. But the way to do it, the best way, is through the arts, with love and creativity, y con ganas, mano, okay?
This is the best way to end this conversation. Unfortunately, we ran out of time. Before I say goodbye, I want to acknowledge that the family of Richie Valens is here in the room.
Irma Valconta and Mario, where are you? Richie's brothers, please stand up. And of course, we know that Connie Valenzuela and her family resettled in Watsonville, you know, after Richie died. And so that's where we discovered them, you know. For 5 years, Danny, my brother, was one of the producers. He was looking for the family in LA, you know, in Pacoima. We didn't know how to make contact, and we said they disappeared. Where are they, you know? So one time in San Juan, someone came to Danny's house and said, "Hey, Richie Valens' brother is over at Daisy's Saloon, man." So he rushed over there and met Bob, you know, Morales, and it was Bob that introduced us to Connie. And making contact with Richie's family, for me, was to connect with my life, you know. Richie and I were almost the same age. He was maybe 6-7 months younger than me, but I knew what he went through, man, because I was there. I was there and he was there. And if we were alive today, we'd be great friends, I'm sure. There's no problem. I don't know if I've been able to tell his life story, but his death made him immortal. Okay? And I've always believed that any negative can be turned into a positive if you believe in yourself, you know? And so Richie obviously believed in himself. Despite the obstacles that Chicanos had back in the 50s, he took his art, he took his genius as a musician, and his presence. What an incredible 17-year-old man. The guy was a giant already. He was amazing. And so it was my privilege to be able to get the permission of the Valenzuela family and from Bob Morales to tell that story. And obviously it still resonates with people. La Bamba is my calling card all over the world, you know, for adults. With kids, it's Coco, you know. I tell me I was a bald-headed uncle in Coco. That's more impressive than anything else I've ever done, you know. You were in Coco? As a cartoon, you know. Although I still have my hair, so anyway. But the thing is that it's all the same story then. The Valenzuela family did a service to the world and to America by producing Richie Valens and Richie's art. But you're all part of the same family. You're all part of the same regeneration. America needs us to speak from our hearts. The world needs us all to speak from our hearts. You're going to find your reflection anywhere you go in the world today, and particularly where people have been oppressed, and they're fighting for their freedom, and they're fighting for democracy. Don't let anybody take anything away from you. Don't let them take your dignity. You know, keep that. And it starts by accepting yourself as you are and working from there. Start from your own 2 feet and start from there. And look at the gifts that the Creator has given you. Because you've been given anything and everything that you need to do what you need to do in this world, you know. And that's what keeps us going. Adelante!
Adelante! Bravo! Muchísimas gracias. We have screening number 2 coming at 8 p.m. We have the filmmakers coming to tell us about, what happens behind the camera, what happens after, they find all these treasures and interviews and everything, how the magic of putting a film together happens. And so we are very honored to have these filmmakers with us. And thank you
Thank you
so much for being with us today.
Thank you.